AM 590, FM 100.9. Good morning, everybody. We are on the air. We just went right into it, didn't we? Right into it. On this beautiful, albeit a little cold, March 9th day. Temperature out there's 41 degrees, and we are. There's so much going on. I started this morning with there's so many different directions I want to go in. We were talking about several things here as we were beginning to go. So we are well into tax season. The program is Gilbert Talks Taxes. I am Gilbert Carmona. I'm an enrolled agent. I have an office here at 113 Whitesides Road, Rutherfordton. I have another office in downtown Tryon, Polk County, 226 South Trade Street, the beautiful Art Deco building right off the historic Tryon downtown. You can call me at 828-289-9300, although I won't be there till 9:30. You can call me, leave a message if you have any questions. If you need to get me now, if your message is burning and urgent, you can call me here at the studio. That telephone number, Todd, 828-287-3356. My engineer this morning, Todd, he will take your phone call. Or Karen, I have a whole staff here this morning. Karen will take your message and bring it to me. If I can answer it on the air, I will. Otherwise, I may have to come back next week and discuss it some more. The email address, my email address is gilbert@gilbertcarmona.com. Again, the office number, 828-289-9300. Those of you live streaming us, we're back on the air today. We're back on the internet today. We had some technical difficulties last week that Jay couldn't overcome. Todd was able to get us back online today. You can see me, www.wcab59.com, and the colors look fantastic again. So it's been a busy week. This coming Friday, March 15th, all corporate returns that file, or really all businesses that file an 1120S tax return, or partnerships that file a 1065 tax return, those tax returns are due. If you electronically file, they are due by midnight, the 15th of March. If you are going to put them in the mail, as long as they're post-dated by Friday, you are good. Now, North Carolina and some other states, it's April 15th. But the federal government has moved those up. Actually, the 1120S's were always due March 15th. The partnerships used to be due April 15th. And I still run into people, even though this is our fourth year now, and I say that because so many dates have changed, of doing the partnership returns on this date that still think they're due April 15th. And I'll have to remind them, or new clients, if you wait until then, you will be late. And the penalty for being late is $150 a month per partner. So if it's just a 2 or 3 partner business, it's, $300, $450. But there are entities that have many partners, and those fees add up quickly. So you want to get that one done right. Partnership returns, you file a 1065. Corporation, LLC, you file an 1120S. Now, an LLC does not file an LLC tax return, as many people seem to think. An LLC is just an entity. Okay, it is a classification of an entity. The IRS does not recognize an LLC as its own entity with its own tax return. If you're an LLC, you can be taxed as a partnership, in which case you file a 1065. You can be taxed as a corporation. You would file an 1120. You could be taxed as an S corporation. You file an 1120S. You could be a single member LLC and put it on your personal tax return under Schedule C. So I will have people call me and they will say, I file an LLC tax return. In which case I take a deep breath, step back, and ask them what kind of tax return they filed. If you just started your company and you don't know what the IRS, because the IRS will do a default clarification for your classification for you. And a lot of people don't realize this. They will do a default when you apply for your EIN. Now, if I did it for you, I will have that in the file and I will know which direction I'm starting. But if you had that done for you by somebody else, what you may want to do is look at the letter that the IRS sent you. If you did it online, you had the opportunity to print a letter. I've run into it where some people just take a screenshot of what they did online, and bad idea, because the screenshot just gives you the number and the name and the fact that you were on the internet and the fact that you did get this number from the IRS. Other than that, it is useless. It'll give you the option down there. It'll say, do you want the letter mailed to you or do you want to get it online right then and there? Always take the online right then and there option. If you have no way to print it, at least download it as a PDF and save that PDF, and make sure you've saved the PDF before you go offline. Because once you go offline, or once you get off the IRS website, which is irs.gov, once you get off the website, you have no way of going back and retrieving that letter. Okay? And for security purposes. So once your session ends, your session ends. So you want to make sure that you've gotten that letter, because in that letter will be clarification. So while you're applying for your number, as you're going through these steps, you notice that there's a lot of questions. Well, all those questions have a reason, because at the end of it, they will use that to determine what your classification is. So if you told them you're a multi-member LLC, as an example, they will classify you as a partnership. They might, depends on how you answer the other questions. They might classify you as a partnership, in which case they're going to be looking for a 1065 tax return. Or if you told them you're a single member LLC, they might classify you as a disregarded entity, in which case it will go on your Schedule C personal tax return. Now, these things they're not etched in stone. We can turn around and change that as we need by filing the proper forms. But that letter is an important little letter. Don't lose it. Save it, print it, do whatever you need to do with it. It's the letter that goes, you should keep that with your incorporation papers or whatever organization papers, creation papers you may have for your business. Okay? Now, if you don't do it online, for some reasons, for multiple reasons, people may not be able to get that number online. One is if the owner of an entity has an ITIN number instead of a social security number. An ITIN number is a number given to entities for many reasons. It begins with the number 9. Those you cannot do online. You have to paper file. Or if there's a problem with your social security number or the social security number you're using to get the EIN number, I'm being redundant. EIN is employer identification number, so it's really the EIN. If you're using to get the EIN, if there's a problem and the computer rejects that, there could be a number name match, or there could be just a problem with the number. It will give you an error and you cannot do it online, in which case you fill out an SS4 form, and they'll have it right there online. You fill that out and you can fax that in, or you can mail that in. Okay, in which case you will get the letter mailed back to you. Again, very important letter. Make sure you have the right address on there. You need that letter. I have to refer back to it all the time, especially with new clients, or even other clients where we may be changing they might have taken on partners, or they may want to go from a C Corp to an S Corp, from an S Corp to a partnership. There's a lot of things that happen. These are not, again, etched in stone. And what I see happening is a company will come in and I'll ask them why they're filing a certain tax return, and they'll say, because that's what we've always done. with the new tax law, you may want to stop and look at those, okay? Because there may be advantages to switching from an S corporation to a C corporation. I know you were always told S Corp is better. Well, S Corp was better under certain situations, and it still is. But those situations have changed. Okay, the purpose has changed. So this is pretty fluid. You need to be looking at it. Why were we an S Corp? Might we want to become a partnership? Might we want to become a sole proprietor? There's advantages to all of them. And it's all part of your financial strategy and your tax plan. And Todd, why can I talk so much about this? Because I'm an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent, see how I bring it back around? And an enrolled agent is a person enrolled with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, United States Treasury, Department of the Treasury. They're who I answer to. I represent taxpayers in all these matters. Now, let me again, my telephone number, 828-289-9300. If you need me here at the station, station number is 828-287-3356. My email, gilbert@gilbertcarmona.com. Some of you have asked me to use Twitter or texting, messaging, so you can ask me questions here. No, the answer is no. The answer is no. I have a hard time enough staying focused with what I want to get out in this hour. I don't need everybody sending me, and I'm getting some emails right now. Everybody sending me. I'll have to reply to that one. So, so that's the big news this week. That's happening this week. Don't let that deadline slide. Now, if you don't think you're going to be able to make it, just go ahead and file an extension. Do it today. Get it out of the way. Get the worry off. Get that extension filed. We can still turn around and file a tax return on time, even if you did file an extension. But get the extension filed. Get that off your plate so you can stop and think. So you'll have a 6-month extension. It'll take it all the way to September 15th. I have companies that just because of their business cycle and how things go for them, especially companies that are ramping up they have heavy spring business. Some of my big landscapers, some of these people, they don't even want to talk to me about this now. They're like, let's get together in June and July and let's just do it. It's what they do every year. I'm fine with that. It works for them. They're not even around at the end of the year to work on this stuff. Other companies, December's their slow time. They were done in January. And we could actually started filing these business returns January 8th was the first day to file business returns. So entities. And talking about reclassification of entities, really stop and take a look at this about why you're doing this. Especially partnerships. Is a partnership still the best thing for you? I can probably do a 5-hour show just on partnerships. They can be very complicated or they can be very simple. If a husband and wife get together to create an entity, the IRS actually has a special provision for husband and wife partnerships. They can actually have it on their personal tax return, Schedule C, 50-50 split, or whatever the split is, but if you can split it on your Schedule C, and you don't have to have any special paperwork, any special filing. You don't have to have any special organization when it's a husband and wife. If you're multiple partners, you need a partnership agreement that can be just a simple template, a simple form. You do not have to be an LLC. You do not have to be an incorporation. You can just be a partnership by agreement. But these are entities. And I've people look at it, why was a partnership created? Well, 15 years ago, we had these partners, and some of these partners aren't even active anymore. And what they did is they just reduced them down to zero ownership. They still get a K-1, but really, in reality, the entity is functioning as a single-member LLC, or is functioning as a two-member LLC that could be filing an 1120S. So there are some advantages, some disadvantages. You really just need to sit down and look. So I just encourage everybody, don't just let it be, tax return as usual. Stop and look and see if this new tax law has created any tax-favored strategy or any tax-favored law that could help you, and you're actually losing money or overpaying or not taking advantage of certain credits by just doing the same old. Okay, it is a new day. It's quarter after already, and I've just introduced myself. Let's go ahead and take our first break here. Come back and I'm going to talk about some interesting IRS in the news. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9.
This is Gilbert. If you owe the IRS past due taxes, don't call those toll-free national numbers. Local, affordable help is right here in Rutherford County. Stop garnishments, levies, and liens. Call Gilbert Carmona at 828-289-9300. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert, 828-289-9300.
Hi there, this is Kimberly, and I'm here to tell you about Peterson's Auto Service and Detail Shop. As a woman, I'm often apprehensive about taking my car to a dirty service garage. But you can be assured that Peterson's, located at 478 Butler Road, Forest City, has an incredibly clean and safe environment where you get high-quality service at a great price. Peterson's was voted Rutherford County's best auto service 3 years in a row. So take your car to Peterson's for brakes, oil change, North Carolina inspection, tire rotation, headlight lens restoration, scratch removal, and meticulous auto detailing. That's Peterson's at 478 Butler Road, Forest City. You can call him for an appointment at 245-8889.
Back. Gilbert Talks Taxes. Among other things, Gilbert talks too much. So I'm going to talk about that, Todd, because Todd brought up Trump. I'm going to talk about Trump. Trump. Let me get into it. Who wants to hear about taxes? Let's talk about Trump. Seems to be what they want to hear about. It seems to be. So, let me start by saying I've done a poll here at Gilbert Talks Taxes. Trump's approval rating is 100%. Still 100%. Plus or minus 0. Margin of error is 0.
3 months in a row now.
It's actually, how long's he been president? Approval rating is 100%. So the latest scandal is that he was in, because I will not watch the news anymore. After what happened during the shutdown, where I saw them blatantly lying about the business I'm in. Okay, so I prepare taxes. I am an enrolled agent. I talk to the IRS, so I know what's going on. I'm my fingers on this pulse. If I know nothing else, I know this world. And they're just telling blatant lies about what's going to happen. Remember, you're not going to get your refunds until May. So all of you, those of you who got your refunds, you shouldn't have, because CNN said so. And everything they said was going to happen, none of it happened. Where's the apology? Where's the we were wrong? You'll never get one, because they'll just move on to the next story. And I'm going to talk about a story that's the classic case of that here in a minute, an IRS case. But so I kind of caught this quickly as I was preparing for the show today, looking up this other story about the IRS. Trump's in Mississippi.
Where the tornadoes came.
Okay, where the tornadoes came through, and see, the tornadoes. I didn't even hear very much about that. But I've got several clients who do that disaster work. They do roofing and hail damage and all that, and they were packing up, getting ready to go to Alabama. They actually were by the office yesterday to make sure all their paperwork was done, because they didn't know how long they were going to be gone. So I've got a few of those, and internet's spotty in these disaster areas, so they wanted to just touch base with me. So I knew that had happened. But okay, so Alabama, Mississippi, he's down there. Some people handed him Bibles, and he signed them. So they used to use Bibles to record births and deaths and all kinds of family events. Your Bible was Your Bible was your Facebook of the time. I mean, I have seen them in antique shops, Bibles that have notes written in them, dates of weddings, dates of funerals. I don't know if they still do, but until recently, a Bible was as good as a birth certificate for dates of births recorded. So in certain parts of the country where people were born at home, that is where it was recorded in a Bible, and they wrote in the Bible. I guess CNN doesn't know this, or whoever's thinks this is a scandalous story. Now, my assistant Cassandra, who campaigned for Trump, volunteered and met him, had Trump and Pence sign the back of her iPhone. So that probably would have been like a 30-minute docudrama on her having him sign the back. Then she put a clear silicone case on it so she wouldn't rub it off. She was real cute. But she had them both, and just to prove that it was their signature, she had a picture taken with them on the phone, both of them, right after they signed it. So, I mean, it's incredible. The hatred for this guy is absolutely incredible. And then she just tell you that he's our man, that he is the guy who's there fighting for us. That's proof enough for me. Okay, back to taxes. So, in that light, interesting story yesterday. The IRS. Okay, I talk about internet security a lot, and the scams. I feel like I beat that one to death. Every week I talk about the IRS scams, and I warn people, because it is a big problem. I personally have known people that have fallen victim to these phone scams and have given money and sent money to these people. Okay, so, and then we hear all the other stories. Being in the tax preparer community, enrolled agent community, we hear all the stories. I mean, there are people that actually set up a payment plan with these scammers, and he thought he was making his payments to the IRS, and every month they're drafting like $150, $200 from his bank account because he set up some auto draft thing, and it's going to some bank in Nigeria or wherever. So it's a serious problem. So I talk about it a lot because it's a preventable problem. Okay, so the IRS is really trying to combat this, and I talk about going to phony tax preparers. I talk about going to tax preparers that are not equipped, tax preparers that are not guarding your data. Okay, as an example, I spent a lot of money and a lot of technology to put up firewalls. I have pieces of equipment that are physical firewalls in my office that the internet goes through, or to get on the internet you have to go through them. Traffic has to go both ways. And there is a lot of software in there to stop people from accessing my computer, from emails and just, I mean, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And the backup that we do, all to protect your data, because your data is important. Social securities and dates of birth are important. Addresses, all those things. Okay? So, and people go to preparers. As an example, there was a preparer that was in Polk County who went out of business. And now nobody can get her. Nobody knows where she is. They can't get their data. They can't get their prior year information. So the question is, well, where is your data? What did she do with those files? They were on a hard drive on her computer. Where are they now? What has she since done with that information? Okay, no, and I've asked people this question. They don't know. This tax preparer did sell her business to another tax preparer. Nobody seems to know who this tax preparer is. So now your data that we know has changed hands at least once. It's a serious problem if it's your data. Bank account numbers, credit card numbers, addresses. I mean, where do you start? W-2s, it's all in there. So we talk a lot about this. So the IRS is really trying to do something about this. They created the PTIN system. You have to have a PTIN to prepare tax returns. To get a PTIN, you have to register with the IRS. Now, I'm registered with the IRS because I'm an enrolled agent. Okay, my testing, everything is through the IRS. I'm also an ERO. I'm an electronic return originator. The IRS has fingerprinted me. They know who I am, and other things that were part of that. And then the testing that I go through, and I have to stay current on a lot of things. So they know who I am, okay? And you can look me up on their website. So, but the PTIN system. So 3 tax preparers sued the IRS. This was in 2014, saying that, and it's a long story. I'm not going to get into it all, but the case was called Loving versus Commissioner. Okay, whenever you sue the IRS, you're actually suing the IRS commissioner. Poor guy. He's in jail a lot. He's in court a lot. Not in jail, in court. So Loving sued the commissioner. The original filing was March 13th. So we're coming up on the anniversary of that. March 13th of 2012 was the original filing. So 3 tax preparers, Sabrina Loving of Chicago, John Gambino of Hoboken, New Jersey, and Elmer Killian of Eagle, Wisconsin. So these 3 tax preparers got together and sued the IRS, accusing the IRS, among other things, of lacking the authority to license tax preparers. Okay? And this is why you say, why are they even allowed to do this? But the judge heard the case, and the judge agreed that the IRS lacked the authority to license tax preparers. The judge obviously not aware of the problems. It's not about licensing tax preparers. It's about having legitimate, qualified people do this, because it's becoming so that anybody with $99 software can get in this business. And that's not a problem. I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is this involves sensitive information. And it's open. So the court agreed in 2012. Loving won the case, and the immediate ramification of that was the PTIN system. So what the IRS said is, we still need some kind of a system in place. So instead of charging, because you had to pay for the PTIN, and you had to go through some criteria to get it, they said, okay, everybody that wants to enroll, and then, of course, we enrolled agents said, no, enrolled nothing. There's no enrolling going on. We're the only ones that are enrolled. Enrolled agents and enrolled actuarials, okay, we're it. And so they can volunteer, and they called it a voluntary program, and it was just that, a voluntary program that had no teeth in it to really, there was no law behind it, there was no punishment for doing wrong, and it really flooded. Then the IRS appealed. 2 years later, they lost that appeal, and part of that appeal process, they said, well, we license enrolled agents, we license enrolled actuarials. And the judge said, well, that's different. They have different levels of authority, because we have authority to represent you before the IRS. We enrolled agents have a lot of authority. Tax attorneys have attorneys. CPAs can represent taxpayers. Now, the only ones that can go to tax court with you to represent you in tax court is anybody licensed through tax court. Just because a person's an attorney does not mean they can represent you in tax court. You actually have to register separately with tax court. Non-attorneys can actually take a test and represent you in tax court if they're not an attorney. It's the same theory as the patent. Patent attorney does not have to be an attorney. He can be an engineer that understands the law, because in theory it's the tax law that matters, not general law. But if you're not an attorney, you're not going to pass that test. Just let an attorney that's a specialist do that. I try to keep cases out of tax court. I try to resolve them before they get there, and I've been pretty successful at doing that. So these people have, for the last 7 years, been able to hamstring the IRS and their efforts to really step up security, is what it boils down to. It's not about the IRS's authority. Of course they have the authority. All your data goes through them. But the interesting part of the story is that Sabrina, at the time of this filing, now this may have changed, at the time of the filing in 2012, Sabrina Loving prepared between 50 and 100 tax returns a year. Okay? Mr. Gambino prepared about 100, and I'm quoting an article here, so I don't know. Again, an article. I'm sorry, Sabrina. Let me back up and say this again. So Sabrina prepared about 100. Mr. Gambino prepared about 50, and Elmer Killian prepared anywhere from 80 to 100 tax returns. Okay, we are halfway through tax season, and I'm just under 500 tax returns, and I'm not even a big practice. Okay, so these people who are basically amateurs, really, those kind of numbers, you're a part-time preparer, have been able to stop the IRS and lock the IRS down for 7 years. Well, good news. Yesterday, the top appeal court ruled in favor of the IRS. And the IRS does, in fact, have the authority to license. Because what it got back down to was they were charging for the PTIN number. I didn't finish that thought. What it got back to is the IRS was charging, and the fee for the PTIN was very nominal. I don't remember the last time, because then they stopped charging for it. I don't remember the last time I paid for it, but it was like $65. It's actually the smallest fee I pay. With all my other renewal fees that I pay for all the different licenses I have, that one was almost incidental. The only one that I think is smaller is state of North Carolina charges $50 for my annual fee to practice as an accountant in North Carolina. That is the cheapest one I have. But some of these fees I pay are into the thousands for securities licenses. Why? Because they only want professionals doing this. They only want people that know what they're doing, that are making a living doing this, to help the public. So, but yesterday, the IRS won that appeal. Court ruled they do have the authority. And the other funny part of the story is after they won the first time, they sued to get all their fees back. So people have been waiting, and it's potentially going to cost the IRS hundreds of millions of dollars to return all those fees to everybody that's ever paid one, going all the way back to the beginning of the program. So they won. It's really good news. It's good news for security. It's good news for the professionalism of the business. And it really elevates this thing to the fact that this is a big deal and you need to see a professional. Now, let's go ahead and take another break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about you're waiting for your refund. You didn't get it. What now? Your refund was reduced by an amount of money. What do we do? This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB 590 AM, 100.9 FM.
This is Gilbert. I've made a career out of helping businesses. Something else that can help businesses is a good sign. Let me tell you about DS Signs and Graphics right here in Spindale. Whether it's outdoor signage, banners, printing, or promotional items, call Alex at 828-286-4900. And remember, a good sign is good business. People come up to me all the time and say, Gilbert, thank you for doing my tax return. I just got my refund. Any idea what I can do with that refund? Oh, yes, I've got an idea. Call NC Tractor and Farm Supply on Railroad Avenue. Get yourself a brand new Massey Ferguson. You can call Phil at 828-429-5008. And when you're talking to Phil, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes. You know what he'll do for you? Absolutely nothing. But me, he's going to give me a discount when I buy my Massey Ferguson.
We are back right here. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB 590 AM, 100.9 FM. Those of you watching us live, www.wcab59.com. You will see that my hair and my suit looks fabulous this morning. Robin, I thought I was going to have her run to the studio and do a quick touch-up, but I'm looking good. Well, with all this rain, it's just the frizz. It's going to be another frizzy hair day. But the good thing about losing an hour, we're going to have an hour less rain. That's right. Did I say it right? An hour.
Spring forward
we're going to spring forward at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
So we're going to lose an hour of rain.
That's a good thing.
That's great. So instead of going to bed at 2 in the morning like I've done every night, I'm going to go to bed at 3 in the morning with no extra effort. I think that's fabulous. And it's tonight. We've moved this thing forward. We really have. And Todd, I've got some bad news. We've decided when we're going to end the program for the year. We're going to go ahead and do it the last Saturday before April 15th. Okay, we're going to do it that Saturday, April 15th being on a Monday. April 15th on a Monday. We're going to do that Saturday. The 13th we'll do the last program. We'll do the wrap up because the following Saturday is Easter. Sunday's the Easter, Friday, Good Friday. And see, actually, the reason we're going to shut it down is I'm shutting the office down that Thursday when we're done. I'm going to shut the office down because we are totally redoing my system, upgrading my security, and upgrading our main server. To why? To provide better service to our clients. So that computer's going to be shut down for about 3 days while it's refitted. Who would have thought that 4 terabytes of hard drive would not be enough? I mean, I remember if you had a system that had 40 gigabytes, that was unbelievable. You'll never fill that up. I have 4 terabytes, and I've got it about 50% full. I'm actually adding another 1 terabyte digital drive to it. And why? Because we take the security thing seriously. And it's going to be a whole new layer of encryption. Our hard drives are going to be encrypted. All our data is going to be encrypted to a whole other level. We're doing it to military standards. So I'm very excited. Rafael is going to be working on that project, spearheading that. So we're going to shut down that whole weekend and work on that. He thinks it should take just a few days, but I always plan for the worst. So we're going to do that. Saturday will be our last program. We're all synchronizing our calendars here.
And Rafael is Todd approved.
Rafael is Todd approved. Oh, he's incredible. He is incredible. Just and again, I have such respect for the IT guys. Actually, there's several I work with. Rafael has got to be the best to stay current. I mean, talk about an industry where literally the standards change month to month. Yeah, oh yeah, every day. You're not exaggerating. Every day. And he always keeps me on top of my game. I cannot thank him enough. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be shutting down. So the last program will be Saturday, April 13th. Now I know every year we talk about possibly doing something, but sleeping in on Saturdays usually wins the discussion. But we are talking to Jim about doing something. Okay. So you're waiting for your refund. You're there by the mailbox, or you're there by your phone with your bank app open, and you're waiting for that refund to hit. One of three things are going to happen. That refund's going to hit. You're going to go, oh yay. No refund's going to hit. You're going to go, what happened? Or you're going to get a partial refund, in which case you will scratch your head. Refunds are offset for a lot of reasons. Child support, taxes due to other states. States can actually levy, or taxes due to states, your state and other states, can actually can actually petition the IRS, submit paperwork, and have your federal refund held for money you owe on state taxes. Child support can hold up your refund. Child support and student loans are the two biggest reasons I see refunds held. Okay, student loans probably, I don't know, it's probably 50-50, but student loans are the big one. Now, this may be too late for some of you, but before you file, or you can even do it now, the Treasury, Department of the Treasury, actually has an 800 number. Let me give that number out. This is the Treasury Offset Program telephone number. Treasury Offset Program. You can call. This is a fully automated number. You can call here. Let me give it now. I'll give it a few times. It's 800-304-3107. You call this number to find out if there is a hold or if your refund could be held for whatever reason. So you dial this number, you put in your social security number. That is all they're going to ask you for. Your social security number. They'll go through a few recordings giving you disclaimers, telling you if you're not the person, hang up, and are you the person, and are you really the person? But all it asks for is your social security number. No date of birth, no name, no address, no nothing. Social Security number. Okay? You put in your Social Security number, it will tell you if the United States Treasury, Department of the Treasury, has a hold on your federal refund. And then if it does, it will tell you, it takes you to another prompt. It will tell you which government agency or state agency has that hold, and they will give you a telephone number to call for that agency. Now, several times I've done that. The number's just been a generic number where you'll get a message, but it'll give you instructions on what to do. If your tax return is being held by the United States Department of Education, okay, they actually, there's two numbers. They're going to give you a number. It's an 800-631-3115 or something. I've called it so many times. They're going to give you this telephone number. Write it down, call it. Now, they're going to ask you to put in your Social Security number. When you put in your Social Security number, they will route your call. But they're going to route your call to a third-party collection agency whose sole purpose is to collect money. Okay? So the person and I spoke with the person yesterday, and she was actually very knowledgeable and explained several things to me. I actually learned a lot from that phone call, so I'm passing this on to you. That's what this program is all about, Todd. Passing information on. She actually was very helpful and wasn't the usual, you're prepared to pay this amount of money now. No, I don't have $80,000 right now to pay you. We would like to know, the balance and different things. She said, when you dial that first number, the first number, don't put your Social Security number in. Wait a second, press 0, and you will actually have the opportunity to route to a live person that you can talk to at the United States Department of Education. Otherwise, you're going to talk to a third-party collection agency. Now, depending on what you want, like I just wanted to know the payoff balance on this man's account, the third-party collection agency was really all I needed. Or you can talk to a person. Now, this is what I've seen happen, saw it happen yesterday, have heard it's happened to other people. They owed $5,000 to United States Department of Education for a student loan. Their refund was $7,500. All $7,500 was taken for this money. Okay, so the protocol will be they got to let it, you're going to get your money, you just got to wait now. They're going to take that money, they're going to apply whatever is owed, and you will get it back. Okay, the procedure of getting it back is a little unclear. Are you going to get a check? Is the check going to come from the United States Department of Education, or is it going to come from the Treasury Department? I don't know. I'd like to know, some of you that have had experience with this, please call me. I've been on the phone trying to find out, and I've looked on the internet, and I've gotten several different reports. But this is happening to people, and actually the collection agency I talked to yesterday told me she's been getting phone calls all day about it, where people owed a couple of $1,000s. They knew they owed a couple of $1,000s. They went ahead and filed their tax refund, like take the couple of $1,000s, but give me the rest back, and your problem will go away now forever. But they took the whole refund. The one person's refund was $9,300, and they owed $6,300. They thought they were going to be getting around $3,100. They got zero. So we're waiting to see what the process is. But if you want to know if your refund's going to be taken, it's 800-304-3107. You put in your Social Security number, and it'll tell you if there's an offset and the agency involved. They will not tell you the amount. And that number is strictly an automated system. You will not speak to a live person at that number. Okay? So, and then call that agency and find out. So North Carolina Child Support is another one. That's a big, takes people's refunds. So I tell people, don't let this just be a once-a-year event, because I've had people, they come every year, they come with the same problem. Well, what did you do during the year to solve this problem? Nothing. They just waited for it to happen again. try to do something. There's a scripture in the Bible about before you go to court, talk to your accuser and try to work it out. It'll be better for you. So find out what's going on. Some states, now the federal government won't honor these requests, but some states, state of Illinois being one, can actually hold your refund. Now they'll hold your state refund, okay? But anybody that's ever worked in Illinois knows their state refund is very high. But Illinois will actually hold your refund for parking tickets. Todd, parking tickets. They've passed that law. And so the question is always, where's it going to stop? I mean, at what point are they going to, any bill, your library, you owe the library money. They're going to keep your refund. And anybody that's ever parked in a big city, you think you're parking in a legal place and you think everything's fine. There's no signs. You come back, there's a ticket on your car. You don't even know who put the ticket there. And how do you fight that? Most people in big cities just either they ignore the tickets or they whatever, and that's why Illinois started doing that. I've had people, I had a contractor that worked there. Some of his vehicles got parking tickets, and they took his Illinois refund, and it was several $1,000s. Basically, they were just giving him his money back because he was not a resident of the state, and they kept it for the parking tickets. So again, child support's the other one. That's the big one. There's some other federal offsets, but you can find out which agency it is, and you can go ahead and combat that. Let us take our last break. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, 590 AM, 100.9 FM.
As we get ready for this year's tax season, there's one thought on everyone's mind. Will Gilbert's hair look fabulous this year? Oh, yes, it will. How can I say that? Because I go to Robin Saunders at RSL Salon. Whether it's a good haircut, a pedicure, or a manicure, you can count on RSL Salon. Call Robin at 828-289-9110 because everyone deserves to look fabulous. This is Gilbert. I want to tell you about Jesse James Railroad Express at 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton. It's a great place. Jesse's a good friend of mine, and I encourage you to stop by and support him. On Mondays, he's doing a 99-cent hot dog, mustard, chili, and onions. When you go, tell him Mr. Fabulous himself sent you.
Short break. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, 590 AM. FM 100.9. So we're back. Gilbert Talks Taxes. I want to thank everybody for the comments during the week. I've gotten some emails and some questions. Those of you that listen to me and have come and decided to have me help you with your problems, thank you very much. I absolutely appreciate that. Right now we are clipping along more or less on schedule. We've got quite a few tax returns to get out by Friday. We've kind of put most new personals on hold till after that day, but we should be moving along pretty good. And just really thanks to my wife Christy, probably best administrator I've ever had the privilege of working with. She keeps things moving. Lynn, Millwood, Rocio, they're all doing a great job. If you call me 828-289-9300, there's a prompt there to speak with any of them. You can speak with me. I'm at extension 1. Any questions you may have, or you can shoot me an email, gilbert@gilbertcarmona.com. We are expecting a record filing season this year, not just for us, but just overall. More people are using professionals this year so far. It appears that way with the new tax law. And I would really tell you to consider it if your tax return is complicated at all. The big thing is calculating the qualified business income deduction. That's the big thing you want to make sure you have right. Your K1 will have that information now. Box 17 will have that data to generate it. If you're Schedule C, the software should generate it. And I've actually had a situation yesterday. I'm going to tell on myself. Standard deduction is now $24,000. So we have seen with so many tax returns, the people that used to itemize with their church tithing, their mortgage, their property tax, would go over standard deduction when it was $12,000 for married filing joint, $6,000 for single, $9,000 for head of household. They would they'd itemize, and it was worth it. They would have all that paperwork. They'd be ready to go, and we would get it in there. Well, now they're not even coming close to it with it being double. So I had a client last night, and I had everything in there except the student loan and the itemized deductions. Actually, I had put the mortgage in. But I had not put the few other things. And I said, well, you'll phase out. And we were talking. Now, they were there while I was preparing the return. Usually, I prepare it and then meet with the client, and they come in and we review it. But they were there, so we were talking. And at that point, they were owing some money, okay, because their business had a very good year. And I said, well, this is probably what it's going to be. I doubt you'll go over the $24,000. And Christy comes in the room and says, well, let me put those numbers in. And she puts them in and literally went over. We're talking by dollars, but by just going over, it literally triggered a whole chain of events. With the new tax code, it's really the way it's done. It triggered a whole chain of events. They itemized, brought their liability down. It brought them down far enough that the student loan education credit, not student loan, I'm sorry, the education credit kicked into the full credit, and it just caused all these other things. So I learned a lesson last night. And it was originally how we were doing it. We were putting it in whether we knew they were going to hit it or not, just like we did before. But then when so many people, I've only had, of the 500 returns we've done, well, personal returns has only been about 400. But of all those that we've done, only one or two have itemized. The rest have been standard deduction. So we kind of got a little, well, it's not going to happen to anybody, but you don't know. You don't know. And it was a learning lesson for me, because I don't trust the software. I go in and actually look at the numbers and make sure all the numbers make sense. So it's a new day, as I say, in this tax prep business. And again, I'm getting a lot of phone calls about who needs to file a tax return. People are asking again. If you're a single person or a husband, wife that's just collecting Social Security, chances are your Social Security, you have no other income. You're not going to have more than $25,000 of retirement income. You will not have a tax liability, typically. With the $12,000 for single, $24,000 for married filing jointly, it's rare you will have a tax liability if it's just Social Security. Now, if there's pension income, especially if it's over $25,000 a year, you're gonna have something going on, and you're gonna want that looked at. Even if you have a small pension, you get a few $1,000s a year, you're gonna have no tax liability, but they did some withholding, or even $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. I mean, the amount doesn't matter. If they did any withholding, because these fiduciary houses, especially Fidelity, Franklin, Templeton, some of these, they will, it's an automatic thing with them, they will hold 10 or 20% withholding on your pension distribution. So you're going to want to file a tax return to get that money back. Okay, now some people, I have said, you may want to file a tax return just because of the locking down your Social Security number with ID theft the way it is. I have had, I heard of one, a senior citizen who hadn't filed a tax return since they've been retired, found out somebody was using their social to file tax returns. They got a letter from a state or something that they were being audited for their tax return because it was suspicious. And I guess the dependents were changing every year, and they were suspicious. They wanted them to submit all this documentation, and come to find out they'd been filing a tax return for about 10 years with their social. So you can file a tax return even if it's a zero return, and if there's any problem, the IRS will send you a letter and say, oh, another tax return's already been filed. which case you know you've got a problem, or they will, you'll either get that one or it'll lock it down, and somebody else that goes to file that tax return, they won't be able to use your number. And what we've learned from these people is that if they try to do it for a few years and they keep getting rejected, they won't waste their time. They'll abandon your number. Okay. Now, as we're coming up to this date, what can you do to reduce your tax liability? You can still contribute to an IRA. Okay, 5,500, 65 if you're over. If you're over 50, you get the bonus, the extra $1,000. You can still contribute to an IRA, husband and wife. And I say this all the time, say it again. Just because you contribute at work to a plan doesn't mean you can't contribute a little more money to your own private traditional IRA. I see this a lot. People that have a 401k or a 403b, whatever your retirement plan is, thrift, you may not be maxing it out. Sometimes, let's say the employer only does a match of 3%, so most people will just do the 3% to get the match. And I recommend doing that, because if you don't do that, you're basically giving money away. So you do the 3%, you get your match. Well, depending on your income, and depending how much money that is, and depending on a lot of other things, you may still be able to contribute a little bit more money, because there is a limit as to how much you can contribute, and there's a limit to percentage of income, and there's a whole formula. So don't overlook that deduction. I've had people be able to contribute another $1,200, $1,500. I had one $2,000 to a traditional IRA, and it brought down their taxable liability. And then spousal IRAs. Yes, you have to have a job, you have to have income, taxable income, to contribute to an IRA. And if you have a spouse that's not working, that spouse can actually still open up a traditional IRA under the spousal IRA rules. So don't disregard that. And then I just want to remind people, a Roth IRA has no tax let me say it this way, contributing to a Roth IRA has no tax implication on your tax return this year. Okay? It's the tax benefit from a Roth comes when you take the money out, you pay no tax on the gain. But the money is put in after taxes. That means you've already paid taxes on it. Whereas a traditional IRA, you put money in before taxes. No tax has been paid on that money. So what's better? It just depends on what you and your financial advisor get a hold of, which I do that. You can call me. We can meet and discuss that. I do financial planning. I do tax planning. I do financial strategies, Todd. That's what we call them, financial strategies. Because as I've always said, nobody ever comes up to me and says, Gilbert, I want to pay more taxes. I don't feel like I'm paying my fair share. I want to pay more. I have yet to hear that. Everybody wants a strategy to save money. What I like about the Roth is that it is just that, tax-free money. Tax-free, those are two good words I like to use in sentences a lot. Tax-free versus tax-deferred. In a traditional IRA, you're going to pay the tax somewhere down the line. The theory with traditional IRAs was that when you retire at age 65, retirement age now is 67, full retirement age. When you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. But what is happening is there are people, and that number is growing, that are retiring with pretty big incomes from pensions and just retirement plans, and the fact that they listened and obeyed and started these retirement plans and have money in retirement. They're still in high tax brackets, and they're still paying a lot of tax on this money. Whereas with a Roth, you pull that money out, and the gain is tax-free. Okay? So if you want to have that discussion with me, give me a call, 828-289-9300. You need to give me my email, gilbert@gilbertcarmona.com. I will be back, Todd, next Saturday. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.